And in the morning, I'm making waffles.
Hey everybody, welcome to Lions Pride Tavern podcast number 86. Tonight we find out how we did in this weekend's continuing raid of Antorus the Burning Throne. And, nope, I'm not going to spoil it. But before all that, let's start off with introductions. I'm your host, Stafford. I play a Dwarven Beastmaster Hunter in the awesome game World of Warcraft. Next up is AskJobui.
Hi, I'm AskJobui. I play a Worgen Fire Mage.
And Lorelei.
Good evening, it's Lorelei, your Night Elf Arms Warrior.
And Epistle up north.
Where it's hot as all get out. Yes, I am Epistle, and I play a Drainy Protection Paladin.
No, Draenei.
Draenei.
Because Charity is a...
Draenei.
Yes, and welcome, Charity.
Hello, I'm Charity. I play your Draenei Resto Shaman.
Oh, and how is everybody this week?
Good.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Doing well.
all right.
Yeah, I went and seen the Avengers.
Woohoo, I
No
saw it a second
spoilers?
time.
I still haven't gotten out to the theater to see it. I'm going to see it soon.
I'm thinking a second time.
I got to tell you why I went and seen it though. So, my daughter turned 13, and she decides to invite 4 girls over. Okay, and then she got sick. Well, then she got sick, and so we couldn't have her party. So she had it this weekend, and I looked at my son, Durag, and I went, so do you want to go fishing since the girls are going to be here? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, we'll go see a movie. Oh, what movie? I said, The Avengers. All of a sudden, Mommy starts like flipping me off and yelling at me. I was like, hey, you got to stay with the girls. Us boys, we're going to see The Avengers. So we went and seen The Avengers.
That's so messed up. You ditched her.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh boy.
Now, are you going to take her to go see it?
Well, I probably will because I do want to see it again, but I, unfortunately, and this is like probably the worst thing to do, I have not seen the Black Panther yet.
What?
So, yeah, I know. And everybody's
Wow.
like, oh, you can't go watch the Avengers if you don't watch the Black Panther.
Yeah, you
Well,
can.
I mean,
You can,
I
yes.
did,
And I'm
I hadn't
living
seen it.
proof. Yeah, living proof you can. You totally can. So, but we bought Black Panther, and it shows up on iTunes tomorrow. So we should be able to watch it tomorrow.
Oh,
So
okay.
she's going to watch
Oh,
Black
is it?
Panther and then see Avengers. But,
oh, my daughter was after me saying, hey, can we watch Black Panther? And I said, well, it's not on iTunes yet, but tomorrow, you say.
yes, so we already bought it.
Ooh, I hear a squee coming through.
Nice. So yeah, that was my big excitement. Well, that and my niece had her unveiling of the sex of her baby, which was pretty cool the way they did that. I've never been to one of those baby shower unveiling things. So they had a balloon, and it was filled with the colored confetti of what the baby was going to be, either pink or blue.
I'm sorry, Fafford, but it's called a reveal party. Get with the program.
Mm.
Oh, all
Yep.
right. Yeah.
Gotta be hip to the lingo or something.
Although I'm impressed that you
Lingonese.
said it right. You said it's the sex of the baby. The number of people who just seem shy to say that, want to say gender, is
Oh.
nauseating.
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, you know, sex or gender, isn't there still only 2?
Well,
Last I heard.
sex is biological, gender is social construct, and male, female, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
All right.
slightly different, but it's a long conversation. We probably don't need to
Yeah, very long one.
Okay, so that sounds like the conversation I was getting with my other niece when I was there, because she's vegan, and she made these little vegan cupcakes. And she goes, and these are all organic. And I said, honey, everything's organic. She's like, no, it's not. And I was like, yes, everything comes from the earth. She goes, that means it's natural.
Okay. That's why they call it Mother Nature.
What is the difference between natural and organic? So maybe I'm just not hip enough for the crowd, I guess. I don't know. I knew that day would come eventually.
Yeah, it's always on the horizon. All the time. Even when you find out you're not hip, right, you're gonna find it out again.
And as soon as you find that out, then it's time for a hip replacement.
Yeah.
Well, I've been waiting for the day that my music that I grew up with becomes the golden oldie station. It's not there yet, so it's an oldies.
When I hear my music on the elevator, though, that's when I know it's just I'm old.
I know when they start playing AC/DC Back in Black on the elevator, I'm just like, yeah, now they get it.
Well, they're already playing the shows that I watched on Nick at Night.
Yeah.
Yeah. In general, like, one thing I found kind of funny is it's like our like rock station. They still play all the music I listened to when I was younger. It's rarely anything new, and I'm like, there must not be a lot of new music out that's rock or something.
No, we've got a progressive station here that plays a lot of the new stuff, and I like it. Don't get me wrong, but it's not Aerosmith or AC/DC or any of those guys.
Well, I live in an area where we have like one rock station. I think that's it. So
It was funny because at the reveal that we were talking to this older couple and we were talking about the radio stations, and he said, "Well, I used to listen to Amos and Andy," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember them." And he goes, "You do?" It's like, "Yeah, that was before TV. That was like when the radios were just there." I mean, I remember knowing about it. I didn't necessarily listen to it because I wasn't, I'm not that old. But I remember my parents talking about it and Flash Gordon and all that, and it was all radio.
Yeah, I do have one interesting thing that happened this week related to our raid group. Dorton came and visited this week. And,
oh, wow.
Awesome.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he came and spent the night a few nights ago on his way. They were going on a honeymoon, and they were passing right through my town. So my house is about like a little over halfway on their journey. So they stopped here. And we hung out and he spent the night. He got to try out my Oculus Rift, and he decided he really, really wants one now.
So for getting married, he wants.
I don't know if he wants it as a wedding present, but he was like, "Oh, this is so awesome! I have to have one now." So he really enjoyed it. But and then they're coming back through tomorrow. Actually, they're gonna stay the night again tomorrow on their way back through, And so, yeah, that was kind of cool. You get to meet one of the raiders in person. That's the first time I've gotten to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, we met at Pistol the same way. I think it was our second or third podcast
I think so.
Live from Canada.
Right, yeah, a long time ago.
way back. I'd say give him something for me, but you don't happen to have any maple syrup on hand, do you?
I do.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, give him some maple syrup on behalf of us.
I actually thought about making waffles. Maybe I'll make some waffles.
There you go.
There you go.
And then when you give him the syrup, when you put the syrup on, just say that, this is from a Pistol.
Right?
The funny part is I know where you were going with that, Stafford, but it did not sound like it.
Oh, I didn't sound like him?
And in the morning, I'm making waffles.
Yeah, and it was never much of an Eddie Murphy impersonator, so. All right. Well, that was a nice, long, quiet pause there.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing exciting happening.
Yeah. All right. Well, then, if everybody's got out what they did this week, let's get on to the raid. I'm excited. So, JoBui, how did we do?
I'd say we did great this week. It was actually our best week yet as far as efficiency and time goes and all that. Friday night, we got through Guidotti, Fellhounds, ENR, Portal Keeper, although we did have one mess up on Portal Keeper and had to start over again. We did Antorin High Command, Iminar, Kingaroth, and Varamathras. So that was our first time getting all the way through Varamathras on Heroic.
And for once it was a healer flub up that messed up the portal.
Yeah, it was there, but it was a pretty darn good night. We really did well on that night. We came back on Saturday, and we got down Agrimar fairly quickly, much quicker than we did the previous week. I think everybody was more used to it. We had 4 wipes and then the kill on Agrimar.
Was it after our break, or it was just after our break, wasn't it?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Did we got him down?
Yeah.
No, it was before the break. We got that done about 30 minutes into the raid. We were done. Yeah.
I thought we waited and then we came back and got him down.
No, we took the break after the first pull on Argus.
Yep, he's right.
Because we went to Argus, we talked a bit about the changes in Argus and stuff, and then we did our first pull. We wiped, we took our break, came back, and then we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more attempts on Argus, improving a little bit here and there, but ultimately we did not get it down. I think our best fight ended up about 8 minutes and 41 seconds into the, or about 7 minutes and 8 seconds rather into the fight. So not quite completing it. I think we died in the ad phase. That's where we were losing it in most of them. I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5 of them, 5 of the pulls that we did, 5 of the 7, we died in the ad phase. So I think that's where we need to work on it. But in general, we did pretty good. I think we got a good chance of getting it down maybe next week or sometime soon.
I think so. I'm right there with you, JoeBui. I think this next week, we're going to get Argus down. I think we're just a little bit DPS shy, so it's going to be really close if we don't.
Yeah, well, the DPS was mostly decent. I think there was a lot of anxiety. It's like a new boss anxiety, a new thing, because they're not new boss entirely, because everybody's really familiar with the Argus fight, but just anxiety of being in the heroic and then stepping on stuff they shouldn't, and stepping through things and interrupting and just getting a little overwhelmed with, oh, this is faster and it's a little tougher, and just kind of messing things up that they would normally get down quite a bit better.
Yeah, that and ad management too, right? That's a real curveball for a few of us.
Oh, for the tanks?
I feel
No,
like...
not with the tanks. I wasn't going to say all the DPS, but yeah, it's all the DPS have to be doing that too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, I feel like people don't panic as much because if they get hit by something in normal, our healers heal through it. And we can usually, unless it's like huge, like one of the big bombs, somebody stands in the middle. Otherwise, we've been healing through a lot of things, and we can't do that on heroic.
Yes, I highly agree with you there, Charity, because what I saw was I normally stand closer to where we dropped the big bomb. I mean, on that side of, there's the circle in the middle of the room. I stand to that side normally, and so does Mommy. And all of a sudden, we're both like, what just killed us? And we look at our recap, and it was the bomb exploding when the tank comes over and gets it off the healer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so it's just bad placement. I think before, because it was on normal, it was being healed through, and we didn't really see that. But it hits harder now, so we had to reposition.
We can't heal through it. Yep.
Yeah. Well, so it's just learning. I think that's why I'm saying I agree with JoeBui that we'll get it down next weekend, because it's just going to take these slight adjustments. It's like at the first phase when you're moving the what's the black circle?
The death fog?
Yeah. Well, the circle that you
the soul blight.
Soul blight, yeah. So you get soul blight on you got to move straight back. But what I found, and I watched 4 people do this right in a row, they moved back with soul blight straight back, and then the cone hit, and they had to move over. Well, because it's such a longer distance in the back to move out of the cone, they died before getting to the edge. I mean, I was in a perfect position. It's right on my live stream. I was watching them as it happened, and I watched 4 people in a row in 4 different cones. They got soul blight. They went back there like they're supposed to. It was perfect, but because they went back so far, so we told them go back, but then go to a little bit to the right, and that seemed to help because we only lost, I think on that last bowl, we only lost like 2 people.
Yeah, we lost 3 to soul blight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but that
in that one.
But we were losing 6 and 7.
Yeah, earlier, especially like in some of the first polls, we lost like half the raid to Soul Blight and Death Fog,
Yep.
practically. And I think we got like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 or 7 in the first poll that died to Soul Blight or Death Fog. And it's just gonna take, like you were saying, it hits harder, it's less forgiving, and there's less room for error. And people before were making some errors, and then like Charity was saying, they were getting healed through it, and it's tough. But I think people will get used to the pace and the dance steps like they usually do in our group, and I think we'll do better with that part. And I think that's going to be really key, is if we get everybody alive through the first part, and they're all alive as we get through the second part, which is just beating up the boss and taking bombs to the side, and then we go up against no, we don't even take bombs to the side in that part, do we? No, we do. No, we do in that part. Then we have the most number of people. If we have like pretty much everybody up when we get to the ads, I think we'll be in a lot better position. That, and we really need to step on the gas for interrupts. People started doing it at the end of the fight. We had 12 interrupts in our last poll. That was really good. But like in some of the previous polls, we had 3 or 4, interrupts of what is it? The solar beacon? No, something like that. Cosmic beacon is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Cosmic Beacon.
Yeah, and in this one, in a heroic, you have to interrupt that, really. It really needs to be interrupted. And on top of needing to be interrupted, there's a new mechanic in there that if you interrupt the big ads, once you've interrupted them, they can't be interrupted by anyone. They're immune to interrupts for 20 seconds. So you really can only interrupt the Cosmic Beacon. I've even seen it where, like in some of the fights where I've done it, like outside of our group, you interrupt the Cosmic Beacon, and you catch it at halfway through the cast, right? Well, it starts casting it again in like 20 seconds, and you can't interrupt it until it gets maybe halfway through the cast again, because it still hasn't quite dropped its debuff off, and you have to like catch it in the last 3 quarters, kind of thing. So you need to like get those interrupts on the Cosmic Beacon like right away. So I even considered writing a weak aura that like just sits there, and if you're targeting one of those big ads, it just watches to see, is it casting Cosmic Beacon, and if it does, scream at you to interrupt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we did pretty well. We progressed each and every time we polled, for the most part. I mean, I think there was one where we just said wipe it up. But we always got to the mini bosses and started working on them.
Yeah, we had 2 polls that we wiped early, and the rest of the time it was at the ad phase.
Yep. So let's go around.
And Fafford and I's prediction was correct, though. So.
I wasn't gonna throw that in her face, but thanks, Charity.
You're welcome. High five.
Hey, well, it's not correct yet. You guys didn't. We got to see if we beat it next week.
Well, yeah, because I think we'll get it down next week. I really do, provided we get the same timing. We had an hour on Argus, so as long as we get that hour again, I think we'll get it.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not trying to be negative Nancy, but
if we can get past the ads, then we go into where everybody comes back up, and it's like starting to fight all over.
Yeah, and everybody dies from like the massive amounts of damage going out.
Well, maybe, yeah, but I've seen that fight go like pretty good after that, once the tree comes up, and a lot of the folks have done better at that. Like we've had a lot of our players, at least in normal, dying a lot less often in that phase than they used to. So I'm slightly optimistic there. And yeah, I was a little over optimistic as to when we would get Argus done. I was kind of hoping we would get it done this week, but I think it's really just going to come down to people staying alive throughout the fights. Like if they can avoid that extra damage that is unnecessary damage, then I think we'll win. But It's really going to come down to that, I think.
Well,
It's
all
really
the time.
exciting though to be hitting Argus now.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
For sure.
And I think we have, what, 13 more raids left before the next expansion drops, I think.
Is there a ahead of the curve for Heroic?
Oh, yeah.
So we're likely to do that.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I think we'll get it down next week.
Oh yeah, we'll get it down before the expansion for sure. I just don't know about next week.
You see how Charity changed? Lorelai's like, yeah, we'll get it down next week. And Charity's like, yeah, we'll get it down
I'm sorry,
before the
Lorelai.
expansion.
No,
You know-
people got, I mean, I was in that first group that died to the cone and the soul blight. So, I mean, I think I died from that twice because I had to, it was just learning, run a little bit sideways because he's going to do that cone attack as soon as you get it. But, I mean, we got that down. I mean, pretty much it took several tries, and I think that's one of the harder parts of the fight.
Yeah.
And once everybody got that, it worked a little bit better. But
Well,
you know what the next problem I think is those black strips on the ground.
Oh, the swirly things that go across.
Yeah, the swirls and then the black strip, because they come up much faster than
Yeah,
they do
there's a
in
lot of
normal. And people were dying to that a lot too, because they just weren't moving. And I watched people not move out of them.
Yeah. Now there was a couple of moments where I was like, okay, I have about 3 seconds in this one. I'm finishing this cast. Now I'm gonna move. And like one time I had to blink out of it, so hopefully it wasn't me. I also saw another thing that I'm gonna change, and this is actually relates to you, Lorelai. Is where people take the bombs, right? Like the smaller bombs.
Yeah.
In one particular instance, you got the smaller bomb, and one of the ranged got the smaller bomb as well, and the ranged moved straight over towards
yeah.
Star.
Yeah.
And the ranged ran right past you over to Star, and you're coming from melee, and I saw you running there too, and that person didn't move, and then you were like, okay, go to the other.
I'll go take the long way.
Yeah, and I was
then
like,
and then I died, and I'm like, you should have heard me cussing, because I already used a soul stone. I was throwing on a bandage, and I was gonna ask Charity if that place is too far for the healers, because the next time it happened, Formir got one, and he died right on top of my body. Because the same exact thing happened with him. So I thought, is that arranged just that we're out of heals or we're so far away?
I think it's out of range because we're trying to run back and forth between the spinner things coming across the floor, and we're trying to stay towards the middle so that we can reach the tanks. But if you go to the back of the room, now we have to either run after you over that way and get out of range of the tanks who are getting hit really hard, or stay with the tanks and get out of range of you guys. And I think that what's happening is we're not split up well enough, and we're probably going to have to discuss that, because everybody that's getting the bomb is dying because they're not getting any heals because we're just not close enough. So I'm going to try and hang out towards the back of the room because I think they're hanging out towards the front.
Yeah, I did notice that, and I am going to ask that, range try to use the one to set the back of the room to take it if they get there. If it's too ranged, obviously one goes to the side and one goes to the back. But if a melee gets it, the range that gets the other one should be going to the back side of the room.
They should run to the back.
They shouldn't be taken, because I watched Lorelai run by me, and I was just like, are you kidding me? She's got to run all the way back over there, and of course I never saw her run back because
I was eating the floor.
But it's like little changes like that can make a difference, because you probably would have survived. You would have had a lot less distance to travel, and I mean, you're melee. You only can hit the boss and stuff when you're close. So
right,
it makes more sense for that to be priority melee spot to go to. If they get the little bombs on them. So I was going to make that change next week as well.
Yeah, because I see a lot of ranged really up close to the boss, and I know that happens. I do that same thing when I'm on one of my my mage or my priest. Because I play DPS more, I tend to edge up a lot closer than I should.
Some groups I've seen actually have the ranged stack up just behind the boss, and consolidate most everyone, so they're kind of in melee range, so they can put their healing circles over both the ranged and the melee at the same time to try and consolidate that a bit. I've seen some groups try that, and we may get to a point where we try that too. I don't know, but I've seen that on occasion. The other thing,
It might help with the bombs too, because they're so close and everybody
It
in the
might.
middle is getting hit by the bombs.
I agree. I've considered that as well. Like, oh well, if we just move the markers, like if we like kind of remeasure those distances and make sure that the markers are still 45 yards apart or more than 45 yards apart, and we position them a little bit further back, then we position everybody right behind the boss during that part of the fight. Then less damage being taken from those bombs going off as well. So yeah, there is definitely some fine tuning to be done for sure.
Yeah. So let's kind of go around the board. We'll start with Epistle. Changes you saw, and either on Agrimar or Argus, but most likely Argus, as a tank.
Pace was faster, so we had to be doing the swap much more quickly in the first phase. So the thing we had to ignore was that the debuff kept getting put on us. The haste or the crit debuff, and you want to drop it in a useful way, but sometimes doing that would have meant that the other tank got hit by them. And the other thing too is it's just an awareness of I've got to be still on the top of my mitigation game, so take it easy when I'm not at the boss, and then burn on my cooldowns when I am, because he hits like a truck.
Out of curiosity, is it possible for because I know that you need to keep the boss facing a particular direction so that the other tank doesn't get hit. Is it possible for you guys to kind of designate like right and left, and say that the left-hand side is always the side that the tank that's got the focus of the boss stance? So like you would swap positions that way, like if you get the buff over your head, the sea or the sky, and then you would be on the right-hand side and could take a few steps through the boss and drop that off near the group, and then step back through, and then when it's your turn to taunt, you taunt and then switch spots with the other tank so that the boss is always facing the same way, and then the off tank at that moment is always standing in a particular position, like from the boss. You know what I'm saying?
Does he drop the cone on the tank, though, on the off tank?
Does he drop the cone? No, the cone goes to a DPS.
If it's always to DPS, that helps. That's one thing that was a concern for me. The other thing, too, is that sometimes the debuff gets put on the tank, and as the tank, you just have to run to swap right away.
Okay. Yeah, I just
the timing's awful, right? So
sure. I was just trying to figure out if there was a way to put it so that you can drop that buff easier, because I noticed like sometimes like the third buff or something seemed to always be showing up on the left-hand side of the boss as the DPS were facing it, which would be on the right-hand side for the tanks as you were facing it, way over on the other side of the fog. So any DPS that wanted to pick that buff up would have to like run through the boss and around the fog, grab the buff, and then come back through the boss and get back to the group. It's really far distance to go. So I was just trying to figure out if there was a way we could position the tanks where it's easier for you guys to drop the buff closer to the group.
It's not impossible, but you'll still have times where it's going to be behind the boss. So if we were at, say, 45-degree angle to each other and taunting back and forth without moving, there's no reason why not to. I mean, we're doing extra steps by running back and forth. So I'll talk with Darg a bit about whether that might be worth doing. I think, though, if I remember, he's got like a 180... Like, how much range does he hit in the front? Because sometimes the cone is, a narrow window, but I think his is pretty broad. So we'll talk it through and see if it would work.
Cool.
Well, I do have to say, not once did I have to look at all taken during the entire raid.
Oh, you got past that now, eh?
I didn't hear Epistle say all taken.
I did say I'll take it once.
Did you? Oh, I missed it. Oh.
You're probably on the floor at the time.
I probably was. So, healing, Charity.
Well,
on Argus.
It was a shit show, obviously. There's a
No,
little
tell us what
poke
you
at
really
our
think.
favorite my favorite YouTuber. Anyway, uh, I I just feel like it's gonna take some tuning. Everything hits like a Mack truck. Everything. You can't mess up on anything. And then on top of it, we need to know, like before we could use our hots and cushion for proactive healing, and now we need to know, I guess we need double on certain things, and there are certain things we're not. It's all about learning as well for us. Learning how hard things are going to hit, learning, okay, if they mess up, what do we need to hit, what cooldowns are going to actually help, where we need to drop things when things happen. It really is adjusting for us because the damage adjust is a big deal. And like I said, the whole healing thing, usually they take a hit and then they run back in. They take a hit on this, they die. So we need to be sure that we are adjusted to be spread out enough to be able to heal everyone at all at once, just like in Agrimar. We had to adjust. We had to run around. I had, like you heard me a couple times, I think even last night, I'm like, I can't heal this person. Where's this person? Does anybody have this person? Because we have to heal them or they will die. Because there's no, oh, well, if you just give them a minute. No, the minute is death. So, and it's the same thing with Argus, that once you get hit with the bomb, you have like no health and the other damage goes out and it's over. Or if you had a little bit of health and you ran out with the bomb and I couldn't reach you because you only had this much health, you're gonna die. If you're too close to this and you see someone standing in that spot, you need to put hots on them because they're gonna be Johnny stands in fire and get hit and they're gonna die. So it's learning to adjust all those things, learning like when the tanks go, oh shit, well how much hots do I need to put on them because they said oh shit, things like that. But it's a lot of damage, and I think that once we figure out what is actual damage that we're supposed to be healing through, one, because everybody's still learning, and how much we're supposed to do and where we should be standing, it'll get better. Right now, we're going from not even doing normal for a couple weeks to now doing normal double that. So we'll figure it out, though. We have a very good heal team, and we'll get it. I'm very confident in our healers.
Do you think we need another healer? Because we went into that one with 5, right?
My problem is our healers. For some reason, we lose our healers right away. And I don't know if it's just because they're trying to adjust and figure out same thing. Like I died the first round to the soul blight dropping because I'm not used to the amount of damage that goes out. Usually I can drop it and then hit my totem to push me forward. And I couldn't do that. It was too much damage. So I had to adjust. Just like Stafford said, I had to drop it not as far back and go a little to the right and then hit my totem so I didn't stand in it as long. Usually I could put a couple hots on myself and jump while I healed everybody. I couldn't heal anyone while I was dropping that soul blight. I had to just focus. So things like that. Like I learned I died, but I feel like our healers are dying a lot at the beginning of fights, and I don't know what's going on. We just need to work on our raid awareness, I guess.
Okay. All right. So, JobUui or Lorelei, you guys got anything from DPS that you want to talk about?
I think melee has got a lot more running to do than we did in normal, and I noticed there were a couple of things. I learned that I turned my camera a little sideways during the cone and soul blight attack because it was easier for me to see the effect right as he's casting that cone. And then as soon as I saw the effect, the blue swirly that he does, I stepped forward, or for me, forward would be sideways, so that I wasn't stepping in it with the new one. And that worked. I I didn't pay as much attention to the debuffs coming out because sometimes they were just too far for me to go, and I didn't want to have to turn and run, or I wanted to make sure that I stayed in one place as much as I could. The other was, I think melee especially has to be really careful when we get to the phase where we've got soul bursts and soul bombs, because there was a point where I was behind the boss, and the boss is moving a lot. He's because of the swirly things on the floor and the lines. And then without thinking, I followed the boss once when I'm not sure if we had a tank down, but the other tank that was going to the soul bomb dragged the boss with him. And I didn't realize that, and I got too close when that bomb went off, and I died there too. So I think melee has to be a lot more conscious about where they're standing and where they're going as well.
Yeah, that was a tank down moment. That was the one.
Yeah,
that
and
went
I
down.
didn't, because I was like, why did I suddenly blow up? And I was like, oh, there's where the boss is standing right there. Okay, well that okay, because we've got to dodge the lines, and there's other stuff blowing up around us, and we have to be paying more attention to where our feet are too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think next week, I mean, like I've looked at some of the data from the logs and stuff, and especially like the wipes. And one of the things that I like to look at each week when we have like a week of wipes on a new boss is
how many times Stafford goes down.
Yeah, well, that is in there for sure, actually. But in fact, I think you ranked up near the top on that one this week. But it's actually I look at the deaths for the entire night, not just for a particular fight, but over the course of the whole night across all the wipes that we had on that particular boss, and then I can see clearly like how many killing blows and what was killing us the most all night long on that. And we did improve on it from the first to the end, but it's the death fog. People really got to work on that death fog and surviving that early part of the fight. We have a whole lot of deaths, especially earlier in the night, of people dying, 10% into the fight, 20% into the fight. Somewhere like they're not making it halfway through what the whole group is making it through. And it's a pretty rough position to be in. We need players to stay up, especially in that fight, because, of course, if you're dead, you're not healing, you're not DPSing, and, of course, if you're a tank and you're dead and we don't have a res, then everybody else is dead. So, the whole staying alive thing, I think that we really got to work on that death fog. We need to work on the the detonations, the soul burst detonations. Early in the fight, we had players getting too close together. Like one would go to star, one would go to the circle, but then they would stand like halfway towards the other one, and then they would blow each other up. I saw that happen like 3 or 4 times during the night. So we just have to clean things up, and we have to be more precise, and we have to be more diligent about not getting ourselves killed. And I think we'll do much, much better.
Awesome. All right. So that's a lot of talk about Argus, because that's where we're progressing, and we're all really excited to be there. But let's go back to Agrimar real quick, and we'll finish talking about that, and then we'll get on with our minutes. But Agrimar, we beat it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think? And we'll just start off with JoBui. What do you think was the one thing that most contributed to that kill?
I gotta say, I can't put it on one thing. There's 2 things that I feel like helped us get it down quicker. One is I'm more comfortable with sending in the ads now. It's like when last week and the week before that, like I was really uncomfortable with that. I was like trying to learn the ropes, and I'm much more comfortable with my timing and all that, and I'm making less mistakes on sending in the ads. I think that helps because that was killing us before. The other thing that has helped a lot is Faye's son, Volva, came in as a clutch monk healer and was doing rockin' heals, just absolutely rockin' heals, and I think that helped a ton. So
do you think we're a little heal shy on it then?
I think we have healers that are underperforming, to be honest. I mean, we have a couple of healers in our group that are doing about 9 to maybe 15% of their potential on that fight, and they're having a rough go of it. They need to like work on their precision and getting their spells off and stuff like that. It's you know I know that's a harsh thing to say, but it's a rough healing fight, and if you have healers doing 10% of their potential heals, we're not going to get through it very easy. And so having that extra healer that's really pulling big numbers, it's making up the difference there.
Well, and when they are alive, or they are alive, they do that. But most of the time, like I said, we have healers that are dying within a couple seconds. And if they're not even there, it's that we don't even have them.
Yeah, there's that as well. And we have a large group, and so it's a tougher job to heal because the damage goes up, and there's more people to actually heal up. And so heals I think was a big contributing factor in that. And as far as the win and the losses, it was a little of both. But the DPS is fine on that fight. That's not a problem. It did go really slow at the end because we had a lot of people down on the kill. But at that point, it's just to keep the people up alive and finish the boss off after we get through those ads.
Okay. Epistle?
I was actually noticing that whenever we do a new fight, there's a lot of need to do calls. Call out movements, call out sequencing. We have to stack up together at one point during the fight. And I've been calling it out. I noticed a couple times I didn't, somebody else did. And then there's a few times it wasn't called out when things got crazy, but people did it anyways. So for me, I think that's just the knowing the dance steps. We get more and more comfortable with the sequencing. People don't have to call it out. It gets a little less noisy in the fight. People are a little more kind of on point and playing the best of their game. So I think it was that we just had enough time as a group that we were just executing all those specific strategies that we'd been working on.
Okay. Lorelei?
I think the CCers did a really good job on that fight. They were watching their own CCs and making sure that they were on, and then even people were calling out, "Oh, I lost mine. Can somebody get it? And can you grab that one?" And I think that they were paying a lot more attention that night too.
Yeah.
I agree. That was really, they were on point with that.
Right, because I think one got out and somebody else grabbed it right away.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
and
and
when Ant finally came in, I was the extra CC'er, and I think it was Dizzy. Somebody called out. One of the hunters called out for it, and Ant, but he's so quiet on his mic. He ran over there and got it, and because I was there, I was ready to do it, and then I watched him do it. So that was good having a couple of backups. But yes, I agree. I think the CCs went very, very well this time.
Yeah, they were really on point. So on point, in fact, that I was a little slow on marking the one that I was releasing, and I released it, and then they immediately CC'd it again. And I was like, all right, there's the marker. I just released it again. Now it's clear.
Oh, is that when we had somebody complaining about, hey, that one's gotten loose?
Right, yeah, it is because I hadn't quite... I had changed my button configuration for like throwing the marker on there because I macroed that. And I switched it to a different button, and it was like the first pull. And I went to tag it, and I hit the old button, not the new buttons, and then I released it, and then they re-CC'd it because it didn't have a marker on it, like they're supposed to. and so I wasn't upset that he did it. I was just like, God dang it, I know why he did that. All right, now it has the marker, and I've released it. So.
Well, I do want to say, Jobui, you have improved leaps and bounds over the last few polls on being comfortable with it. I've watched that. You can hear it in your voice. You're a lot more relaxed with it now. Where before, you were a little tense, on whether. Well, it was just, I don't think you knew what kind of communication you needed to give us, but the marker. As soon as you did the marker, man, that solved everything.
Yeah, that fixed a lot of the communication issue, because then I don't have to worry about it so much. I'm just like, I released the next one. I don't have to. And part of it was I'd have to, pay attention. But before I was having a trouble because not only did I have to pay attention to how much time is left on the debuff, but then I had to get to the next ad that I wanted to release. Then I had to target that ad and release it, and then notice, all right, is that the one that's between those two markers? That's the star one. Okay, now I got to call out that I'm releasing the star one, and so there were too many things that I had to like do right there, and just putting the marker on it is just okay. I've marked the next one. I've released it. It's so much easier. It takes a lot of the. I don't have to think as much. I don't have to like look at the markers on the thing and say, okay, that's the star one or anything. I can just say, I've marked it and I've released it, Made it easier.
And Tap didn't join us for that. Her computer was having issues. And I told her when I texted her back, I said, you realize we're going to get Agremar down and most likely Argus. So I made her feel bad for not being there, just so everybody knows. She still loves me, though. So, all right. Anybody got anything else about Agremar they want to... I mean, because I thought we did really super well. I did sacrifice myself at the end so we could get it down because most of the other polls...
We appreciate that so much.
Well, I'm saying 90% of the other polls I was up the entire time until we screwed it up, But the last poll that we got it down on, and it was my fault because I get... And Mommy can tell you this because everybody keeps saying I'm really quiet, but that's just because I don't push my push-to-talk button. But I'm swearing up a storm because everybody's standing next to me.
No, no. Didn't they do that again?
Yes, they did. And I think they do it deliberately. I don't know. They just... Because JoBui goes, oh, Stafford died on that? It's like, yeah, because I had 4 people standing around me. I was there by myself. And then 4 people, and every time I look,
minding your own
over,
business,
and it's Tap.
It's
in a big tree form.
It's kind of like when we were in the Nighthold,
you,
and everybody thought it was like the greatest fun to try and sheep the mage, and so they literally went around trying to sheep me, and sometimes they would sheep like half the raid in their effort to sheep me, and I'm like, just stop.
Charity, you never did that, did you?
No.
But in that last pull, you actually survived until the 5-minute mark when a soul bomb went off and killed 5 people. So
in Argus.
Yeah, on Argus.
Yeah. Well, there again, I was over by this. I was closer to the soul bomb. Now, in the big circle in the center, I was still in the circle.
It wasn't just you though.
Me.
No. It was. We lost 4 ranged, or 3 ranged and 1 melee in that explosion.
Yeah.
So I mean, we lost quite a few people.
Well, that's why I think we should actually say something about that, because I'm not sure if the bomb is actually just more powerful when it goes off, or if it's got a bigger range when it goes off. Because I never felt that normal. I've been standing in the same spot every time we take down Argus, right there. And I watched Mommy die off, but I wasn't there because I had the soul burst, so I ran out for the soul burst, and when I came back, she died. And I was like, so I asked her, I said, what did you die from? And, she brings up a recap, and it's like, oh, it's soul bomb.
Yeah,
it's like, really?
I think it's still, I'm pretty sure that it's still 45 yards, but it does hit harder. I know that for sure.
Okay. Well, it's got to be that it hits harder.
It does. I mean, as a tank, I'm feeling it. Even though I'm using some mitigation before it hits, it's hard. I had one more thing on Agremar.
Sure.
Which is, I'm impressed with how people have been handling the Agremar getting out of position. The knockback on that keeps throwing us about. I've got a speed boost, so it's easy for me to reposition properly. But it's actually really hard for Darg to reposition, depending on which one's taking which hits in that fight. So we're trying to figure out how to control a little better, and we're getting more and more efficient. But sometimes people have got, actually, that last fight, second last fight, I remember I was standing there going, oh, this is going to hurt. Used my speed boost to get out of there, and I saw 3 people all get knocked off the platform. So, we'll get a little better at that with some practice, but it's still creating problems for us.
Yeah, I was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I chuckled.
Thank God for heroic leap, because I saw that and went, I had no place to stand, so I jumped across the other side.
I'm just a dwarf with short legs. Anyway. All right, well, we got to move on, guys. It's time. I hear the music. It's time for Lorelei's Pet Battle Minute.
Hello, everyone. There's no news from the beta this week, so I thought we'd take a step back in time and remind everyone that gathering pets for your teams isn't a daunting experience. With the new level 1 pet battles coming in the new expansion, it's a great time to start collecting pets, especially if you felt overwhelmed thinking about how to get hundreds of pets to level 25. The best place to start is with your own tunes. Every race has a specific pet that can be bought from a vendor in your starting areas. For the Alliance, Draenei have moths, dwarves and gnomes have snowshoe rabbits, humans can become crazy cat ladies, and the owl vendor is outside Darnassus for night elves, and the Worgans have the amazing Gilnean raven. For the Horde, blood elves get golden dragonhawk hatchlings, goblins get shore crawlers, which are crabs, Tauren get prairie dogs, my favorite, they're so cute. Orcs and trolls get snakes, and the undead get roaches. Ew. But I got one. All Pandaren get jade crane chicks, so it's a win for everyone. These pets will get you started on your journey to the highly addictive world of pet battling. And since pets are now account bound, just make a tune on a server that you don't plan on playing very much, and run around to your level 5 and then hit up your vendor. I tried the level 1 pet battle on Environeer Burt this week, and it was much easier than I thought. I used 3 level 1 elementals with fire attacks, and I didn't have a problem. But I used the same team later at level 3, and I found it much more difficult. Getting a tier 2 attack changed things up a lot. I don't know that I'd want to level a whole team like this, but it'll be interesting to see how this works in BFA World Quest, so keep listening for more news as it becomes available.
Next up, we have
Getting Thieves with JobUI.
One of the ways we can improve dramatically as a DPS is through the often uncomfortable action of self-reflection. No, I'm not suggesting that you meditate on how to maximize your DPS, though that could possibly work. What I am suggesting is that you take the following 3-step process to figure out where you're going wrong and what you can do to improve on those areas. The first thing you're going to need is a log of at least one of your current fights. So open up a browser, go to warcraftlogs.com, and search for your name in the search box. Once you find your character, click on one of the boss names and find one of the fights that you participated in. Click on that. Any fight will do, but I like to choose a log from an encounter where I felt I did a pretty good job. I choose my better logs because I'm looking to improve not over my worst performance, but over my best performance. Now, go to your browser's address bar and copy the URL from there. Next, go to wowanalyzer.com. and paste the URL from the encounter on Warcraft logs right into the box at the top of that page. Find your name in the list and click it. Now you will see a page that shows an analysis of your performance in that fight. Here's where your flaws and strengths will be on display. You will see a checklist, which shows overall information. That's good information to show you areas you're struggling in, but the real key is to look at the suggestions. The Suggestions tab will show you specific information on things you are doing wrong. Perhaps you're not casting a spell often enough. Maybe you're not combining a particular group of spells. Regardless of what the suggestion is, you can see on the right-hand side the importance level. Average means it will have an average impact on your DPS. Ones labeled major will have a much greater impact on your performance. What I suggest you do with this information is to pick 1, maybe 2, of the things you're doing wrong. Look at what it suggests you do differently. Go into the game and practice those changes on a dummy until you think you've got it down and corrected the problem. Then, the next time you're in a raid, see if you can manage to keep correcting that problem in the raid encounter. Afterward, do another round of analyzation and pick 1 or 2 other things to work on. With a little time, some effort in breaking bad habits, and a lot of self-reflection, you'll be getting even more deeps.
And then there's our tank in a dress.
What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking in a dress? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking in a dress?
This week's Come At Me a Tanking Minute. Let's all stand in a circle of healing. Last week's Terrific Splash into Heals talked about healing circles, all the variety of ones that there are and how they work. I've actually played healers from time to time, and I know that when you put down a circle, there's a certain mana cost, and you really are hoping that somebody's going to take advantage of that. Well, as a tank, you actually get to play with that. So, often as a tank, the thing you're really paying attention to is circles to run out of. Damage circles, fire or fell circles, floors that disappear, who knows whatever else you have to avoid. Don't stand in the fire. However, how much are you paying attention to the opposite, the healing circles that are actually going to save your bacon? You need to know their colors, you need to know their durations, you need to be able to say, yep, I'm going to take just that little extra bit of ticking healing to potentially save my life and certainly save an awful lot of mana from your healers. Number of times I've seen people, tanks included, being just 1 or 2 steps off from a healing circle when just a slight move would fix everything. It's happened far too often. It's sad. So use those healing circles. Make sure you move into them whenever you can, in a way that's not going to create raid damage or damage to melee who might be standing in a frontal cone or something like that. But if you're a really pro tank, you'll also figure out not how just to set up and use those circles of healing, save your healers recasting it. For you, you'll also figure out ways to position a boss or move a boss so that you're actually dragging the melee into a healing circle. Believe me, it's good for them. They may not even know they're doing it. They're tunnel visioning the boss. You move them in slightly, drag them in, they'll get healed, they'll be happy, and they won't even know that you were part of helping keep them alive. More healing, more manas, healers will love you, raid success. And that's Come At Me, a Tanking Minute.
I'm a healer, and I approve this message.
Nice. And speaking of,
Baby, you got the heals. Now heal and don't die, 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 die. Heal and don't die, 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 die.
This week's Splash into Heels, we are going to talk about being ready for what's to come. No, I don't mean writing my list to do before the baby gets here. More so, I'm talking about knowing the fights, hearing the callouts, and having your trigger finger ready to do proactive healing in raids. Knowing that a pistol is about to get a debuff that will do a lot of damage, or knowing Lorelei is about to get a pushback. Seeing that there is a dot or damage over time on Jobui. These are all things that proactive healing is there for. HOTS, or heal over times, are great for this. When you see this, instead of healing when the damage comes, you can put a HOT of some kind, such as a Riptide for a shaman. Then keep focusing on the triage healing, keeping your AoE heals on the floor and dancing out a damage yourself. This gives the target with the HOT more cushion for the pushin', so instead of panicking because you get slammed, the damage doesn't get hit as hard and everyone has time to heal them up, Scotty. This is also why it's so important for us to know the fights, and not only our job, but everyone else's job, so we know what damage they're about to take. So keep giving your raid proactive healing, HOTS, listening to raid calls, and keep these peeps alive. And that has been this week's Splash into Heals.
No.
I had to look up that phrase, cushion for the pushin'. And Google surprised me.
Yeah, careful with that.
Yeah.
I just want to say that in her whole description, I'm going, oh, she mentioned Lorelei, how nice. Oh, she mentioned Jobui and a pistol. Not once did she say she healed me.
This
Well,
week
she should have added.
Wait. This week is not about rezzing people.
I was gonna say,
let's
exactly.
not go there.
Or
I
save that
no.
battle
healing
res for
taken. I look at that healing
Stafford
taken meter,
is
and
my
sometimes I get
triage healing.
upset.
Fafford is always my triage healing. I am constantly healing Fafford.
So guess who
Okay.
doesn't get healed?
Yeah, right?
Mhm.
That's why everybody else gets HOTS.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And next up, it's WFN News, Warcraft Stafford News. The Neither Disruptor is up next at the Broken Shores, Epic Hunter, and Reinforced Reigns. The weekly event is Arena Skirmish. Yeah. Has anybody?
I don't know
ask,
that instance.
I gotta ask. Has anybody done any arena fights?
Not a one.
7 years ago.
No.
My
Nope.
druid is my PvPer.
The
Well,
closest.
no, I'm talking about arena. That's the the 2-man, the 3-man, the 5-man,
Yeah.
the
No.
7-man. You've actually done that?
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 years ago.
No, the closest I get to that is the world quests where I have to get into the free for all and kill everybody I can. That's the closest I do to the skirmish. I don't do
The
any of the
reason
PvP
I
though.
like PvP is, well, you know that feeling you get when you down a boss? Think about that feeling going constantly as you're fighting someone, wondering if you're gonna die or live.
Well, yeah, I've done PvP battles. I've gone to the Arathi Basin and all those, but the actual, you have to have a team and go in and do these arenas.
Well, the
I
nice
have
thing
not,
now is you
no
don't
desire.
have to have 5 certain people. Now you can just say, let's go do 2s and invite someone to your group and go. You don't
Right.
have to have teams anymore. But
Oh, you don't? Yeah, I never did that.
you just have to have enough people. So
Okay.
yeah, it's fun, it's intense. I have to be in the mood for it, but yeah, I like it. That's all I used to do for the first couple years of WoW was PvP. So we did a lot of arenas. We even did the arena battle in what is that place at the bottom? Booty Bay. There's an arena battle down there. And
I
we'd
thought there
sit
was
down
one in-
there and hit each other with fishing poles till we died sometimes for fun, and then we'd kill people that came in.
I thought there was one like down where the train's at between Ironforge and Stormwind. There's
That's the Brawlers Guild.
the
Yeah, it's
Brawlers
Brawl-
Yeah,
Guild.
that's the
Oh,
That's
I have
different.
done
That's
that. That's different. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've done that.
I do like the Brawlers Guild. That's pretty fun actually, but I just don't get into the PvP much
Yeah.
these days. You know what turns me off of the PvP more than anything else is the attitude of the players that I run into there. Like a lot of them are just they're really like it. It doesn't seem like a team sport most of the time. It's in that, and that's the difference. I like raiding and stuff because that's all team cooperative, and the PvP seems more like too elitist for my
Yeah.
taste in WoW.
How good is this 12-year-old?
Yeah.
Not that they're all 12-year-olds.
My
Right.
12-year-old was what talked me into playing, and he was extremely good, but I wasn't good enough for him, so that was it for me.
Mm. And I
Nice.
would run into a rogue anything combination. So as soon as I tried to come out somewhere, I'd get hit in the head with a sap from a rogue, and then the other person would take me out. So I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm tired of that.
Yep, that's why I started my rogue. He's my PvP guy, but I could never do what they did. And my rogue would get killed by a healer. And it's like, what am I
Yeah.
doing wrong?
Yeah, I miss Stunlock. It was so fun in vanilla.
All right, anyway, let me finish up the news. WoW tokens are at 198 again, so they haven't changed much. They're up like 200, 300 gold is all. So not much change from week to week. I did buy my token for this month, though. That was cool. Even though it was 200,000. But no, what's really cool is Thursday to Sunday this week is Spring Balloon Festival. Yay!
Oh, that was fun. I did that
Yeah.
one.
So Thursday to Saturday. So go out there
I
and you
missed
can
that last year.
ride in your
I'll have
hot
to
air
do
balloon
that.
with your favorite gal or guy. Or just
Or
by
just
yourself.
Actually, it's a random thing. You randomly show up in a balloon with somebody you don't know.
Oh, it's
Ah,
a dating
it's-
website.
Yeah, it
Spoilers,
is. Wow,
spoilers.
dating. It's not speedy, but it's
Just 'cause I-
just sitting in a balloon
yeah.
with somebody.
Could you imagine if it had this that you were in like chat or something? It's all of a sudden you hear, "Hi."
I don't know if I don't know if they do like a horde alliance combination. But I mean, I had conversations. You can, do a little say and talk to people.
Yeah, but I
But that
mean
was
like
fun.
in a mic.
Oh,
Don't, oh yeah.
no.
Don't
I don't wanna
expect
go
it's going to be Don't expect it'll take a little time. It'll take some time, so you got to be patient and take your time with that. I did it when I was in a hurry, and it was like, nah, it wasn't good.
I think I went up in one of those balloons, but I haven't done very much of it.
I haven't done the Spring Balloon Festival, but I'm going to try it. So. But yeah, anyway, so thanks guys for coming, and congratulations again on getting Agrimar down. Yay!
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy, really happy.
I'm looking forward to doing it again next week.
Yes, and Argus.
Yeah, for sure. I want to see Argus go down. I think that's going to be a pretty exciting thing.
Did we finish predictions on that? Epistle, what did you say?
Ooh, I don't think I said. I do think it depends on if we do it clear as fast as we did last time. Then yes, we'll be able to down them this week. Otherwise, no.
Okay, Lorelai, did we finish with you?
Well, last week I said it would take 2 weeks, so that'll be this week coming up, and I think we will.
That's right. Okay.
I think we will.
And JoBui, I know you're already. Yep, we're definitely going to get it down.
I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident this week. I think the real key is the number of people that we have show up. I think that's going to be
key players.
Key players and the number of people, because I mean, it starts to get really tough when you get those high numbers, like the 25, 30 players. The damage gets really high and it gets really tough. So I think it'll depend. There's too many unknown factors for me to be able to say if we're absolutely going to get it down this week, but I think we have a very, very good chance.
All right. Charity?
Negative Nancy. I don't think so. I think we'll get close, but I don't think we will.
All right. Fair enough. So, do you remember when we got AOTC on the last one? Didn't we have a full group of 30 when we did it? That's the way I remember it. Anybody else?
I don't remember, no.
No, nor do I.
I have no recollection of those events.
But you were with us when we got AOTC.
Yeah, but I just don't know how many people were there.
I really do. I really think we were at a full group.
We might have been. I can't recall. Honestly.
Because we were running at capacity back then. Towards the end of that raid set, I mean, there were people that were trying to get in with us that we had to turn away because we had people like, well, I've been raiding before that guy was, and he got in. It's like, geez, but I swear to God it was. Yeah, there was actually drama about who got to go and who didn't, but we don't have that now because Mommy's, I gave her the secretary coin and said, here, you take care of it. And she's, she keeps that in line. So thank God for Mommy. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for coming this week. And thanks all the fans for listening. We do this solely for you. So I hope you love it. I want to thank Charm for all of her beautiful music for our minutes there. And please go visit her website and her YouTube channel. Give her some likes and love. Her links are in the description below. Plus BenSound at bensound.com and Vincent Moretto for our heavy metal tavern music. So thanks guys for coming. We'll see you all next week.
See ya.
Thank you, folks.
See you.
Hooray.
I kissed an organ, I liked it. The taste of his Bulgur chapstick. I kissed an orc just to try it. I hope my ally friends don't mind it. It felt so wrong, it felt so right. Don't mean I'm in love tonight.
Sorry everybody, we did so well this week. We had no bloopers. Even Shepard never screwed up.